While thousands of people are facing deportation, President Trump has vowed to move forward on his plans to build a border wall.
But what about border security underground? Well, CBS 2's Jennifer Kastner has the second part of our special Border Patrol series. Jennifer?
Well, Pat, that's right. So for this story, agents took us inside a former drug smuggling tunnel to learn about the threat underground. It's an issue that the president hasn't really addressed. There's growing concern these tunnels are not getting completely filled and sealed after they're discovered. There's been a lot of recent talk about border security above ground. But underground, there's a threat that remains in the dark.
Lots of sunshine right down to the beaches.
We've taken a trip past San Diego to the border to examine the realities of a wall and the harsh terrain it may be built on. Now we're exploring a concern that's mostly out of sight.
Just give the guys heads up when you're letting that thing go. It's self-retracting.
We descend 70 feet into the Galvez Tunnel, once used to illegally move mass loads of cocaine and marijuana.
A lot of effort goes in to working with this type of problem set.
Agent Lance Lenore is one of the border tunnel rats. He's been inside more than 80 tunnels during his career.
You start noticing similarities between tunnel from tunnel to tunnel. And certain people build tunnels certain ways, and you can pick up on that.
So certain cartels have their own style,
Cartels,
own design.
digging crews, freelancers, whatever.
Some of the drug smuggling tunnels that have been discovered here in the Otay Mesa area go very deep underground, some of them as far down as 90 feet. And they can be highly sophisticated, like this one discovered last April. Outfitted with ventilation, a series of lights, and an elevator that could hold up to 10 people. It ran the length of 9 football fields. This tunnel, discovered the year before, had a rail system to move drugs.
We go in, we map it out with precision to the point in there where we can actually drill and intercept at various points and fill the whole thing up with concrete.
Concrete is what's typically used for remediation. Agents seal the portion of the tunnel that's in the U.S., but what happens to the tunnel on Mexico's side is out of these agents' control.
We will immediately investigate that lead.
Assistant Special Agent Juan Munoz is part of the Tunnel Task Force for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Does ICE have concerns that Mexico may not be doing proper remediation after tunnels are discovered?
There's always concerns.
But Agent Munoz says they maintain good communication with Mexican agents. Even so, the Associated Press has reported Mexican authorities don't have the money to completely fill their tunnels, allowing traffickers to simply dig new entry points to access the network of tunnels that run to the U.S. border.
We've heard, based on the media, and those are concerns, that the tunnels sometimes are not remediated, and sometimes these individuals will probably use the same tunnels, or they would tunnel along the old tunnel. But those are cases that we investigate as well. We'll address that on a case-by-case.
Human intelligence is the driving factor for discovering tunnels right now.
Agents rely heavily on public tips for leads. Their ground penetration technology has never once discovered a tunnel. ICE has just started a new tunnel tip reward program, offering cash for good leads. The agency is also set to expand after President Trump signed an executive order to add thousands of new agents. But as enforcement here grows, so does the uncertainty over how Mexico will deal with its side of the problem deep underground. And the new Homeland Security Secretary, John Kelly, recently toured the San Diego border. He was asked about the tunnel threat, but he didn't directly answer the question. He explained that when cartels dig tunnels, it shows just how effective the fencing is in that area. If they can't get through it, they'll go under it.